Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sports on I-40 podcast. We are here this evening to talk about this weekend's games at the state playoffs. And boy, was it something that I wasn't exactly expecting. Though I think some of the predictions that we made sort of aligned, but maybe in the opposite. Like, for example, we had mentioned Ganado potentially upsetting Payson, and the other one, Chinle cruising past Payson, right? Or no, Ganado upsetting Snowflake and
yeah.
Ganado, or excuse me, Chinle going past Payson. So those were some of the surprises, and we're going to get into that, as well as talk about some other games like the Seligman versus Gregory game. That was, to me, surprisingly, it was a really good game, even though the outcome wasn't exactly the way everyone maybe intended it to be. But it's good to see some talent out there, especially at the in the lower levels. And Seligman just happens to be a town right there on I-40 as well. So, so just to get into it, I guess, what are your initial thoughts of this past weekend?
Yeah, a lot of good games, a lot of surprises. I think a lot of people had their mindset that their home teams were going to win, but it didn't go that way. Then I seen people posting stuff on social media and all that, and it was heartbreaking for a lot of fans and a lot of players. So, and like the last few days, I seen a lot of people crying. It was it was pretty sad. It was bitter, but it's bittersweet then too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before we set up this podcast, I remember sending you a text message saying that this past weekend was a humbling experience for the 3A North Conference. Do you think that was a humbling experience for them?
Yeah, I guess in a way, especially for Chinle, probably.
Uh huh. Yeah, I guess for 3A North fans, specifically on the girls' side, uh, there is sort of a tradition of the state championship going through the 3A North, right? And given that Chinle was ranked number one throughout the whole entire season, or once they started doing the rankings, I mean, I think everyone would just sort of expected Chinle to, advance and at least, make it to the state championship. But I know on our last podcast, and you can, look at the previous podcast, and I think I made a YouTube short of that as well, but I did say that Chinle, there was an upset potential with Chinle if Chinle showed up thinking that Payson was going to roll over and just go away. But, it's the playoffs and anything can happen.
Yep.
And I think that's why in college basketball, they call it March Madness, because anything can happen. And that's just the nature of a one and done tournament. There's really no room for mistakes.
Yeah.
And if you do make mistakes and you're unable to keep up with them and sort of cancel them out, then you're going to be sent home.
Yep.
And we definitely did see that for those games at least. So I guess, but we'll talk more about the Chinle later on in this podcast. But first, I think I want to start off with the Seligman game. I didn't really follow 1A as much as I'd have liked to this year, mostly because I guess we were just so caught up in the 3A North competition, and it's a lot to try to keep track of everything that's going on, especially up in this area too. And so I think a lot of the games that maybe we would have wanted to see were just bad scheduling. For example, there were a few games I wanted to go watch Joe City girls play, but they happened to be playing at the same time that Holbrook was playing.
Yeah.
So it was sort of just a scheduling conflict. The other one being the 3A. I ended up not going to any of the tournaments, but the 3A North Conference tournament and the 1A Central Conference tournament were the same weekend. So I wasn't exactly. Originally, I was planning on maybe going to the 1A one, and then I know at that time I was kind of asking you if you were going to go to the North one, but then you end up having the scheduling conflict too, right? With the I think it was like a junior high tournament going at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of hard to work around, just random things that are going on in our lives, because this is kind of like a part-time thing for us, so So we try to get as much as we can when we have the time to do it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let me bring this up. We're gonna watch a little bit of this game, and I guess I would say the best part of the game of this game particularly was probably maybe the first half. But we'll kind of take a look and just kind of see what your thoughts are on it. So let me just kind of. So, how did you know about these two players from Seligman, Mac?
Summer ball. They play for a team that we either play sometimes or we'll run almost kind of with them, alongside them, I guess. A team called Rocksteady out of Phoenix. Their coach is out of Phoenix. His name's Monty, and he picks up a lot of these boys from around the way and all that. And these two guys in particular, man, they are a force to be reckoned with, man. They have a whole highlights. They have their own highlight films and all that, and they can dunk. And it's not, how often you get to see natives like these guys, dunking and all that. That I don't see that in some of these schools out here. So it's you'll notice them right away, man.
Yeah, I was really surprised by their athleticism. I know you had mentioned them, and I had no idea, and I'm assuming a lot of people, unless they really followed summer basketball and maybe followed all of them, they maybe had an idea. But to be honest, I didn't know at all. So, but you had mentioned that and everything, and when I got to see them during this game, like I said, I was really impressed by their athleticism.
Yeah,
and which I don't know. I guess maybe lately it's been sort of rare to see players like that. Just have the jumping ability that they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this kid's right, Monty Walker. I think he led their team in point in scores and all that. And I think he also got the 2000 club from what I've seen.
I believe they mentioned that he was the Central Player of the Year. I believe,
Yeah, he
for
was
for 1A.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick game. Also the fans from the fans from Ganado and Chinle started showing up too. So, or this happened. I think the girls' game had just happened right before this, the 1A girls' game, the one in which Joe City won. So, around about that time, a lot of the Page and Ganado fans started, or not Page, Chinle and Ganado fans started showing up around this time, and it started to, get more energetic from the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And as everyone knows, especially when you have teams, the North teams, unless you're playing their team, right? They really, show out for and cheer for teams that have, a lot of Native Americans on it as well.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see that or hear that in this game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gregory School, I believe they were going for their second state championship in a row. So they had mentioned during the broadcast that it was two. They won 2 in a row a few years ago, and then another 2. And then this year they were going for their third two-peat as well.
Uh-huh.
And from what I understand, I believe this is like a private school out of Tucson.
Yeah.
So obviously when you're playing against private schools, they other schools tend to have a disadvantage due to the selectability of players that private schools do.
Yeah.
And I was watching this game. It reminded me of that junior high game we watched, Little Singer versus Snowflake.
Uh-huh.
In that game, Little Singer, they only had maybe 3 good players, and then they really didn't have a lot of players on their bench, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the three good players had to play a lot of minutes, right?
Yeah.
And this was kind of sort of the same situation where
it was, man.
Seligman has 3 good players. Number 11, I think his last name is Silas.
Uh-huh.
The broadcast, they had mentioned that those 3 were like a 3-headed monster is how they described him.
Yeah.
And
he plays with Rock City, too.
So I guess when you're kind of playing on a team with limited ability on your bench, it's definitely a lot harder to compete against schools in which they have a lot more players, as well as I guess maybe a lot more competence on the bench as well. So, but this first quarter was pretty competitive, and it was pretty fun to watch.
And I think Seligman was up like what 3 points on at the end of this first quarter, or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that, and we'll probably get to the end of that to see. But I kind of think that at first Gregory sort of came out kind of off guard due to the level of play. You know, that was a nice move there.
Oh man,
And you know, I noticed a lot of these teams would come down and make moves like that, and it just wouldn't fall. You know, and that's also a problem too. A lot of times is you make a great move to the basket, but the ball just doesn't go in right.
Mm-hmm.
So and you just wish you could have those particular ones back. Like I was saying though, I think St. Gregory was just kind of caught off guard at the beginning with the speed of play. It was a lot of running gun. Really exciting to watch. But later on, I think St. Gregory sort of kind of took control of the tempo of the game. They started making better passes, and certainly I did out rebound Seligman as well. So it was heartbreaking, I guess, for Seligman, but you just kind of wonder what would have happened if you know, they didn't, like, was it Monty Walker? He fouled out of the game, I think about 2 or 3 minutes left about 2 minutes into the third quarter, he fouled out of the game. So, you know, having your best player foul out like that with still a quarter and a half to go in the game, that was certainly a game changer. And maybe that could have been the bigger difference. You know.
And they came back too, right? They were down quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I want to say they were definitely down by double digits at halftime, and I think the closest they got was about maybe 7 points, maybe.
Oh man, come on. Yeah, that one is Carmelo, man. He's the same way too, dude. Like he could jump. He's fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's great ball handling as well too.
Yeah. Yeah, and somewhere I read that, or someone said that Seligman was a actual true small school. I guess is what I think. I think Monty Walker's dad, I think, is one that said that. It's a true small school.
Yeah, their enrollment, I think, is somewhere in the 60s or something. It's really small.
Wow.
Like we had mentioned in the last podcast, the town of Seligman has seen better days. Right. As a matter of fact, I think I saw a YouTube video of a guy. I'm not sure if he's still doing it now, but it was a video of a guy that has had his barber shop there for like 40 years.
Oh yeah.
And he still did traditional shavings, beard shaves with a razor.
Straight razor.
Yeah, straight razor. I don't know if it's still there, but right there, I text that part right there. That was what surprised me. I had texted you when this happened because you were telling me that they could jump, and I was sitting there watching this game, and I saw that ball go up there on the rim like that, and then I see him try to tip it in right there, and I was like, did he just tip that ball, like get up there and tip the ball like that? So man, he can jump.
He got up there. Yeah, the whole res is behind these boys, man.
Yeah, I remember asking you where exactly they were from, and I had thought that they were, and I still think they're from like the Peach Springs area, right?
Yeah.
I've been there one time. We went there for a JV basketball game to play Peach Springs when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we'll go back to it in just a moment, but yeah,
Yep.
it was. I didn't know. Do you know what kind of what tribe that is over there?
Havasupai, I believe.
Havasupai.
Wallapai or Havasupai.
Uh huh.
I've been to the West Grand Canyon and West up there. They have
Uh-huh.
a pretty nice facility.
Oh really? Oh, the
Yeah.
Grand Canyon High School.
Yeah. No, Grand Canyon West is
Oh,
like
Grand Canyon West.
it's like a tourist attraction, I guess you want
Oh,
to say.
okay,
Yes.
okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they have like that arch that what is that walkway, that
Uh-huh.
skywalk. Yeah. I have a cousin that's working there and they're the ones that built that thing. I remember visiting that at the same time, and you can do a helicopter ride down to the canyon too. They're at that place. Then you can get on a raft and um, boat upstream a little bit on the river.
So yeah, I played at the Grand Canyon Village High School before one time.
Hmm.
They had a good team back in 2005. They did have a guy that was like 6'5" on the team. I remember that.
Is that in Tucson?
No,
Where's
Grand
that?
Canyon Village.
Grand Canyon Village. I don't
Yeah,
even know where that's
it's
at.
in Grand Canyon.
Oh, okay.
Like I think right before you get to the tourist area
Oh, okay.
of the Grand Canyon Park. I don't remember what their mascot was called. One of the things I noticed, number 44 from Seligman.
Mhm.
I think he had like a 1-inch vertical because he really didn't jump for the rebound.
Oh, and on skates there for a bit. That's the highlight I seen it there, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a part, and I think it happened in the first quarter. There was a part where they did make a steal, and he attempted to go for a dunk, but
Oh man. If they would have just executed all these plays, man. Get that converted. Oh.
yeah, I noticed the fouls were, they weren't really calling. I think they weren't really calling a lot of fouls that I think a lot of players were used to getting during the regular season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the rest kind of ease up on during these playoff games and all that, and it's a
Yeah.
lot more physical.
Yeah, I think it makes sense too because it's just they don't really want a game to be the outcome of a game to hinge on a call.
Yeah.
But yeah, St. Gregory, like I said, they have some guys that can shoot the ball as well. Who was it? I think it's number 11 from St. Gregory. He got a lot of rebounds. Yeah, passes like that. You wish you could have those back.
Oh.
And I think St. Gregory is a school where they were used to having the athletes on their team,
Uh-huh.
and I think they were pretty caught off guard too by playing against a team where they had players that were way more athletic than they are.
Getting blocks off the board and all that, huh?
Uh-huh. But once you go through the game some more, you start to see how St. Gregory sort of took control of the game later on. But they have a lot more resources. Maybe they're at the end of the game. What's his name? Right there, number. Let me see. Number 2 from St. Gregory.
Uh-huh.
They interviewed him at the end of the game, and this was their two-peat. And he had mentioned that next year, their whole entire team was coming back except for they had one senior, and the one senior was their best player, and he got a knee injury halfway through the season, so he didn't play in this game. But like I said, number 2, they interviewed him, and he was saying that they're interested in they want to win the Copper tournament next year. And I heard him say that, and I was thinking, man, that's a pretty bold statement
Yep.
to make. They're definitely good for their level, but the upper echelons of boys basketball in the 3A is a whole nother level. Speaking of which, let me look this up really quick while we're watching this. The Copper division, boys. I did not watch it, but I'm curious to see who won that. And I'm assuming it was Valley Christian. Has it been updated yet?
Not yet.
They must still be playing, I guess, maybe. What time is it?
10:40 or 10:40 right now. It should be over now.
Oh, maybe they know that we're watching it right now.
Let me check my app. Nope. Nothing yet.
So, yeah, there's about 14 seconds left in the first. Yeah, we just wanted to give the viewers sort of maybe they didn't drive down there to actually watch this game, or maybe they didn't actually see it. Didn't pay the subscription to see it, or maybe they did pay it, but they were interested in maybe watching the other schools play. But I just wanted to give them an idea of some of the talent that are out there. Not just in the 3A, but the 2A and the 1A, and these 2 players. Well, I'm gonna say the 3 players from Seligman. They were really outstanding players, and to be honest, I think they could definitely start probably at any school in the 1A, 2A, and 3A.
Yeah.
I was saying that they would have helped Holbrook boys out a lot if they'd came to Holbrook.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope they continue the journey after this, man. After high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing too. I really hope so. It's basketball is changing a lot, and there's definitely a lot more opportunities to see. So we're gonna finish up this podcast with the Chinle game last, but we want to go through and just kind of watch a little bit of the Copper division, and I do have some things to say as we're watching this. You have to keep in mind that there are 2 girls from Phoenix Country Day that are Division 3, committed Division 3 players. One of them is going to NYU, and the other one is going to they didn't say exactly where. They just said San Diego, so I'm not sure if that means San Diego State or San Diego Community College. I'm not too sure what they're saying, but if you just watch this game, it'll kind of make you realize how good some of these girls are, in the Phoenix, Tucson area.
That's the Chinle game.
Oh, it is. Oh, that is my mistake. Let me bring it up here. It might be. Is it this one here?
No, that's Payson. I think it's down in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. I thought I had it up here. So yeah, like I said in the last podcast, I was expecting. I felt that Paige was coming in this game. At least the players were coming into this game a little too confident at playing Phoenix Country Day. That's my impression. I don't know if that's, maybe if you talk to them, maybe they thought otherwise, but they were playing against a school that was a real deal. This girl here, number 14, she's going to NYU next year.
Oh, okay.
And she was outstanding. I want to say her, number 14, and then her, I can't remember her name, number 24. They basically scored all the points for Phoenix Country Day. And the other girls were just support, really. But some interesting things when they interviewed the girl number 24 at the end of the game, she was, they were kind of asking her about college, and then she wanted to thank her dad. She said she works with her dad every day, and she has a personal trainer that she works with every day.
Wow.
And I think she had mentioned that they spent a lot of money for all those extra things, like I'm assuming the training, and then probably the AAU ball or whatever it is she does, So this girl number 24 definitely put a lot of her and her parents put a lot of effort into getting her skill level to where it is today. And number 24 is really good. I can see why she's playing college somewhere. Her ball handling, she didn't shoot. She's a good shooter. She shot threes, but she didn't shoot a lot. She made a lot of those little jumpers right there, turnaround jumpers like that.
Yeah.
Her and number 14, they drove the ball. They were just piecing Paige up. They were just so much faster, just so much more skill. And I think that threw Paige off guard as well. I think Paige was, I think, as I mentioned last podcast, they were thinking we're from the North, we're in the toughest division, in the state for basketball. And, we play a state championship every night during the regular season. And I don't think they were used to playing players like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I would say it's probably, this game was, I think, a humbling experience. And what do I mean by that is, here's the part. I don't know how this was not Phoenix Country Days ball. Even number 24 is like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm. That's a backcourt, huh?
Yeah. But somehow they said it was Paige's ball.
Back to Paige.
Yeah. Like I was saying, the game of basketball has changed a lot since the 80s, and there is more to this game than just showing up for practice. It requires nutrition, personal fitness, the little things outside of just playing summer basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be a Division 3 or 2 or 1 player, first of all, you got to like it. What I mean by that is you got to love going to practice every day.
Yeah.
You got to love waking up in the morning and doing all the exercises and dribbling the ball and all this stuff, because if you don't like it, it's going to be difficult to make it, especially if you go to an actual college program, trying to manage your schoolwork and basketball at the same time. You ever, seen these players where they talk about their work schedule or their schedule in college for these sports?
They get like 3 practices a day sometimes. Right?
So, you have to love it to really, go to the next level. And I just think, it for a lot, I kind of hope, I think what would be cool is if they did like a 3A Division 2 division, divided 3A into 2 divisions, where the 3A Division 2 would play kind of like the smaller 4A schools. And it would be just so that they can up the competition, and it'll give only a lot of the North teams more experience playing better competition. Because to me, it feels like the 3A North teams are just playing in a bubble. And they've had the luxury of changing the game. Coach Perkins was in here saying that a lot of these 3A schools, they feel the only way they can win is by playing res ball style of ball as well. Mm-hmm. So they're starting to get away from that traditional, bypasses then shoot, to where now a lot of teams are starting to shoot a lot of 3-pointers. A lot of them are starting, and a lot of these Phoenix area schools are starting to utilize that strategy for girls basketball. A lot of run and gun, a lot of 3-point shooting, a lot of fancy passes, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if we are starting to see this change going on where the secret is out. The style of girls basketball play in the 3A North, these other schools have finally caught up and they're finally understanding how to play it. And now we've reached a point where it's getting a lot tougher for these 3A North schools to win the state championship.
There was a point in time where like the top 4 teams are all North teams at one time. It was always like that consecutively for every year, man. Maybe every now and then like a South team or something, the East team maybe, but it was always North top 4, man. Yeah. Hey, you're right, man.
Yeah, I think Coach Perkins said something like there was a 3A North team for the girls' state championship for like 22 straight years or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, man, that girl was good though. Number 24 and number 14. I was just really impressed. And they just had no problem driving the ball. I would say Paige's team last year could beat Phoenix Country Day.
With Alyssa Harris.
I would say that team would have
matched up a lot better with these guys.
a lot better with them as well, and probably even Winterrock's team last year too.
Yeah.
But this year, I think Phoenix Country Day was probably the best girls team in the state for 1A through 3A. I think they could have beat anybody in the 3A.
The only losses against Miami, right?
Yeah, their only losses against Miami. So in that case, maybe you could argue Phoenix Country Day and Miami were the 2 best girls programs in the state this year for the 1A, 2A, and 3A. It's just unfortunate that none of the schools didn't really embrace the copper as it was intended.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess maybe I was thinking Paige, I would say if you go by conference victories and stuff like that, I would say Paige definitely wasn't the best team in the 3A North. But at the same time, I think Chinle would have probably got torn apart by Phoenix Country Day as well with their speed, because they were just those 2 girls from Phoenix Country Day were just so much faster. Mm-hmm. And speed and athleticism will definitely always play a big factor in the game of basketball, unfortunately.
How many seniors did Paige have, do you know?
I think for sure 3. Number 3, and then that's her sister, right? That's shooting the free throw.
Okay.
And then I think the other girl that I'm aware of, she's not playing at the moment. Oh, right there, number 1 from Paige. I think those 3 are the seniors for sure.
Okay.
I would imagine that I'm pretty sure Buka Claw, I think she knew how good this team was, because she played college basketball as well, and I'm sure she could recognize how good those 2 girls are from Phoenix Country Day. Just think about that girl playing for NYU. She's getting a full scholarship to go to NYU, and I believe NYU, it costs like $50,000 a semester.
Wow.
So it's $100,000 a year to go to school there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. She started making a lot more 3-pointers like in the second half. There came a point where I was thinking they kept shooting threes. They didn't shoot a lot, but they shot for a moment there. They shot several threes in a row, and I was kind of wondering if they were going to just shoot threes for the remainder of the quarter. Yeah, Page. I think this was probably their most competitive, quarter here. And then after that, they just kind of the lead was built, and they just couldn't seem to score or contain Phoenix Country Day long enough to make up the difference. Yeah. But yeah, it takes a lot and to be good at this game. And it makes me wonder. For sure, I do get the impression that the fans and the parents are more. They have a bigger desire to win a state championship than the players do sometimes.
Yeah.
And I heard a coach tell me that once that the pressure was off after they lost because the kids' parents, they were just pushing them to win, and the pressure just got to them.
Mm-hmm.
And them being relieved that the season is finally over. But what are your impressions so far, Mac, of this game?
Yeah, that's all. Really, like you said, man, that number 24. It's all her pretty much, her and 14. And she kind of reminds you of the girl Sydney Benali that plays for Sandia too. She's a Division 1 prospect too. I think she's going to BYU or something like that. And she's has that similar type game too, man. She pushes the ball. She does everything for the team, man.
Yeah, her she has really good ball handling. So that just changing direction and just what is that called? A Euro step? Is that what they call it?
Step walk. Yeah, step through.
Yeah, I kind of just want to maybe just fast forward. I'm trying to get a scene where it shows, just kind of give everybody an idea of how good number 24 from Phoenix Country Day is. She was just piecing them up with her moves there and just too fast and making making stuff like that.
Yeah. That mid range. That player you're talking about, man, she's that too, man. She had a lot of mid-range shots.
Yeah, so I think another lesson from this game is there's more to it than just three-pointers and down low. And I think one of the problems that these last few years has shown is that there's really been an emphasis on three-pointers to the point where it just seems like these teams are only shooting three-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
But surprisingly, though, Page, they shot a lot of mid-range shots, which was nice to see. They were a little bit more of a well-rounded team than the other teams I have seen this year. See, just too quick. When you have that kind of speed, it's just difficult to guard one-on-one.
Yeah, it looks like both teams are playing man-to-man defense also. Oh, man. It's quick.
Yeah, when I was watching this, it reminded me of when Chinle played Estrella Foothills in the state championship.
Uh-huh.
and Corey Hawkins was just tearing them apart on the offensive end. Talking about the Chinle boys. Maybe 24 can maybe work on her 3-point shooting somewhere. She made some in the second half too, but most of her scoring here was driving it in or short little mid-range
Yeah.
shots.
Did they keep her in most of the game, or was she?
Yeah, they kept her the whole entire game.
Oh, okay.
Even though she had 3 fouls, I think, in the third quarter, maybe. And I thought they were going to take her out for that, but they kept her in.
Oh.
And maybe they could have tried to get her to commit some more fouls to put her in foul trouble, but they kept her in the whole game.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Buka Claw has some experience with this. It kind of reminds me of back when Paige was in 4A. And I'm sure they had instances like this where they had to play some 4A school with some girls that were just really good like this.
Seen Catholic.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's one of the things about golf that golf taught me that there are levels in every single sport. You might be the best player in your town, but then you go to the next town and that guy might be better. And then you go to the city and then you realize there are people in the city that are like 10 steps ahead of you, right? And then you can even divide that further. You go even for college players, even for Division I players, you got guys that get recruited, men or women that get recruited for Division I. And even in that level, there's levels to it, right? There are guys that got recruited to play Division I, but they never play. So, and professional sports, even there's levels in professional sports. There's professionals that make the team, but they never play.
Yeah.
So, I guess you could say unless you have the luxury of being number one, there's always someone out there that's as good or better than you. And I think it's good for a lot of these players too, because like I said, I feel like the 3A North is sort of in a bubble. Everyone knows each other. They just so happen to be better than most of the schools in the 3A.
Yeah.
And also, I would also argue maybe that Phoenix Country Day, it's an anomaly that they have a team like this, because I think it's not very often that you have a team where you have a couple of players that are, playing at the Division III level on your team.
What I like to see too is some of the Arizona, some of the North teams play against like some New Mexico teams or some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Chinle play Neville Prep this year, and that's kind of different. Tohatchee and like when the Winter Rock, they'll play Gallup sometimes, and some games like that. Some of that Kirtland or somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe today Gallup girls beat Kirtland. That's what I heard.
Is it playoffs there yet?
It's their district, and Gallup won their district last night against Aztec last night too for boys.
Was it like
It's kind of like the North Conference.
Oh, tournament? They still do over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did they start so late? I mean, I noticed, I was kind of looking through, wondering when their playoffs was.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed it doesn't start till like next week.
Yeah. They're like a week behind usually in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
It's always been like that from what I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking because I'm interested in going to Albuquerque to see Sydney Benali play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from some of the highlights that I've seen on YouTube, she's really good. Obviously, she's being recruited Division I, so she's more than just really good.
Yeah, there's a good chance she's be playing against Kirtland or a Gallup team or Gallup.
Yeah,
I think another good team was Hobbs, if I remember right.
Hobbs. Yeah, I've heard of Hobbs. I think I was watching a highlight video of something And they had mentioned, yeah, see that number 14, she was just doing that all night. Just they couldn't stop her when she got a step on you, they couldn't stop her.
Oh, right there. They're pressing right there, man.
Yeah, you can just see the frustration on the page after that, you know.
Out.
Yeah, like I said, I just got the impression I think Paige wasn't expecting this level of play. But anyways, yeah, like I said, I just want to give the viewers some like an idea of the level of competition. Because I know Phoenix Country Day is a 2A school, but the talent that they had on this team specifically, they definitely were not at the level of a 2A.
Yep.
And I think in this case, the Copper division certainly benefited them because it gave them an opportunity to play at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, maybe fans of their schools, maybe they should start talking with their athletic directors to try to get schools schedule games with schools more in the valley so that they get more exposure to see what the competition is like, rather than just staying local. I know I spoke to Coach Perkins. He said, because I asked him why they do the Round Valley tournament, even though it's just 1A and 2A teams that go there. And he said the reason why they do it is, well, there was two. It's close, and they get to play like 5 games in 2 days or whatever it was. So he did it for the amount of games.
Oh, okay. Rather than a tournament like the Pepsi or something like that. Huh?
Uh-huh. But anyways, yeah, I was hoping we can get like a video of that, of number 24, her, you know, driving the ball and her ball handling. If you get a chance, everybody, you know, I would definitely maybe just skim through this game and just kind of see if you have a young daughter that wants to play basketball. I think this will give you an idea of what expectation is required if you want to take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Like she just had no problem crossing them up and everything like that.
Wow. I wonder if they should like try to zone defense instead or something like that, so they just get beat 1-on-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking that too a few minutes ago when I wonder what would happen if they would done the zone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have them start shooting threes and see how many they can make, right? But they were sort of getting killed on the rebounding as well. And I'm assuming Paige makes a lot more threes. But they just, the 3-pointers just weren't falling for them this game. Yeah, maybe number 14 can work on her shooting some more. I mean, we always have stuff to work on too, but it was just. But yeah, they just had control of the game from beginning to end. And let's see if she. Oh, okay. But anyways, yeah. I guess we'll have to give it to Phoenix Country Day. I kind of mentioned maybe a few weeks ago when Chinle lost in the Copper. I thought that I think I mentioned it to you that I thought Phoenix Country Day was probably going to be the team to beat. And looks like it just, and I didn't really know too much about them at that time.
Yeah.
But seeing them play in this game and them just, tearing Paige apart like that, it became apparent that they were a legit team.
And then we also had Miami win their tournament too, right?
Oh yeah, Miami won the 2A tournament. That's correct. So, So I guess what we're going to do here is we're going to go back and I want to bring this game up here because this is the one that I think everyone is I guess was more shocked about. Now, at halftime, Chinle was winning 34-17. And I was sitting there eating dinner because you and I had spoke the night before, and I had mentioned I thought that that Chinle would win by 10, and you thought they'd win by, was it 12 or
12,
12
points,
right?
yep.
And we were sitting there, I was sitting there eating, and I was thinking, oh, well, I think Mac's more correct than I am. And we were kind of just talking and eating, and all of a sudden, I started to see Payson start to make this run. So I was like, wow, this is kind of getting interesting. And it just kind of started to get out of hand for Chinle. And momentum-wise, it started to fall towards Payson. And Payson had some shots that when I saw them play during the regular season, they didn't make. But in this game, number 23, for example, she made 5 threes this game. And I think I think she makes 3 of them in this quarter, actually, to bring him up. That girl is pretty good. That player from Payson. But this was a game that, Chinle, they just made him a lot of mistakes. So much so that they just weren't able to hold Payson off at the end.
Oh, man, they got Swapper there.
So, yeah, there was the first one.
Yeah.
And it starts to build. You start hearing the crowd.
Stay with your man.
And then stuff like that, right? They were just having a hard time with the press. Just mistake, I think that was that a 2? Right there again.
I think it was a 3.
And it was a blocking foul as well. Yeah, I knew that Chinle was vulnerable like this. I think we had seen them before in the past, sort of give up a lead like this, but they managed to hold off. I think one that comes to mind, I think, is Chinle versus Sholo, I think it was, earlier in the season.
Yeah.
I believe it wasn't Chinle losing that game, and they came back to beat Sholo at the very end.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a close one. I think it was the first game of their season, their regular season, I believe.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was just like one disaster after another, just one mistake after the other. And Payson even gave them some chances to seal the game for them, and they still managed to make those mistakes at the very end. And we'll probably get to see those.
Payson used to be an East team too, right? Now they're South team.
Yeah, they got
Central?
or Central. Yeah,
Okay.
I think Metro. Maybe they're Metro North now, or something like that. Yeah, so many schools. There's just so many schools, being created in Phoenix that they have to like constantly realign the conferences to, so that you have enough schools in each conference.
Wow. See, like what I'm noticing nowadays too, like
Another
with
one right there. That's 3 threes.
Watching some of the junior high games, a lot of these girls are fast now. Like these schools like Snowflake and Round Valley, and man, they're quick. I think they're almost even faster than some of our native teams. In
Uh-huh.
seeing Country Day play today and Winslow and there's some pretty fast girls out there, man. Maybe they might kind of lack like the IQ or even like just the how to shoot and all that, the form and all that, But man, they're quick. They don't they get down the court. And Payson seems like they're that type of team right here. Pretty physical and just giddy, man.
Yeah, see, mistakes like that.
Yeah.
And mind you, they were at halftime. They were winning by close to over 20 points.
I think they had the lead of like 22 points or something like that, maybe at the most. Wow.
Yeah, just right there.
This is not the Chinle I know, man. Yeah, I didn't know. I was just assuming that Chinle was winning by a lot last night, and then I kind of forget about it, and then I was kind of watching the Ganado a little bit during the game last night in Gallup, and then I text one of the boys, I text Daniel and asked him, I said, "What's the score?" Because he was there sitting courtside, and he sent me pictures of the game, and I was like, I showed my daughter, and we're just surprised, man.
Yeah, like I said, around halftime, I was just sitting there thinking, well, I guess it's going to be Snowflake versus Chinle. And then, like I said, we were still sitting at the table, and then all of a sudden I started seeing this start to happen in the fourth quarter. So then I stopped what I was doing and came over here and started watching. And you could just start feeling the momentum on Payson's side. And for some reason, Chinle just couldn't shake it off. The rebounding part too.
Wow.
They were just not doing good on the rebounds. That was another big factor in this, especially late.
Just took a knee to the leg right there.
Yeah, I would say around about here too, I felt that Chinle was probably going to kind of regain control and then re-solidify the lead.
Drop a 3 or something and come back in the game.
Yeah, but I guess I'm assuming that Chinle was just kind of caught off guard with the momentum change.
And this is a team that Holbrook barely lost to, too, man.
Yeah.
It was a close game. It could have went either way, too. So, this could have been Holbrook right here, too, playing against Chinle. Oh, man.
It's something you don't like to see, too. And
you can see the frustration in some of these players, man. I feel for them.
Yeah. I think if I were to go back to Thursday and talk about this game, I would probably say something like, in order for Payson to win, a bunch of things would need to go right in order for that to happen. And it appears that that's what's happening.
I think someone told me that Chinle only made 2 points in the last quarter is what I heard. Does that sound about right?
I don't remember what it was. I have to go back and look at what it was at the beginning of the quarter. But so far, it's just been stuck at 45 points.
Yeah, I gotta see this. I gotta know this for sure.
Yeah, even then, I think Chinle still thought that. Well, I was thinking the same thing too. That Chinle still could run away with this. But what's happening right now?
6 points. They only made 6 points in the last quarter.
Mm-hmm. What's happening right now in this game is what I thought was going to happen. Ganado versus Snowflake. This is how I imagine the Snowflake game going against Ganado. But yes, Payson definitely had the tools to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was just a matter of how many mistakes Chinle was going to make in order to keep Payson in this game.
Yeah. Let's go there with North Player of the Year. So her mom is the coach for Chinle, Koyazi. Francie McCurtain. She played for Winslow back in the day too.
Do you know what year? Like
She was a year just ahead of me, I think. Maybe like 2001.
uh-huh.
Yeah, they're originally from like Pinion area, but yeah, she went to school in Winslow under Don Petro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I had mentioned that.
Oh man, they're getting calls like.
That's a good point too. They were getting a lot of. Chinle was getting the benefit of these calls,
Yeah.
and they still weren't able to capitalize on
Wow, yeah.
that. What was I saying? Yeah. So it seemed like in the past, a lot of these coaches up here, they were. I guess if you asked them, they weren't recruiting, but they were persuading certain players to come to their school.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's kind of like in that gray area.
Yeah.
But they also knew at the same time if that was the only way you could compete with these other schools,
Yeah.
especially from Phoenix, was trying to amass a collection of players.
Wow, man.
You know, maybe the North can like lobby to have the tournament be a double elimination tournament. Oh, baseball gets double elimination.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if Chinle and Payson were to play 10 times in a row, I would probably say Chinle would beat him 9 out of 10 times.
Yep. Everything that could go wrong, man, went wrong for Chinle here. Got 3 girls on her. Someone's open. That's the first point in what?
Like 3 minutes.
2 minutes? Wow. 6 points in the whole 4 quarter. That's like 4 minutes per quarter or per 2 points or something like that.
Oh, right there. She got called for traveling.
See, the calls are going their way, but man, Payson just gets them steals back, man.
Yeah, and at this time too, I thought that Chinle was going to find a way to just to seal the deal here.
Yeah.
Especially since they were getting those calls as well. You know, we're approaching under almost a minute left. Oh, right there.
Oh.
See.
I feel like they're just nervous or something, man.
You wish you would have that one back, right?
Yeah. Look at the whole Coliseum rooting for them too.
Right here. I saw that and I was like, oh no. And then she made it.
Oh.
Yeah, as soon as I see her posted that 3.
How is that possible?
Yeah, she came up big for Payson with those 3-pointers. And what's funny is she didn't make a whole lot. She missed a lot against Holbrook in the quarterfinals.
She showed up for this one, man. This game. And they're in the bonus right here too, huh?
Yeah.
They get made the free throw.
So I believe the shot clock is off right here. So I was looking at the time and I was thinking, I was telling the ladies here about it as well, my fiance and her sister. I was saying, I just feel like Payson is going to do some kind of shot at the very, very end and go up with like 2 seconds left in the game. So here was tied. I thought their best bet was to get it into overtime. Well, look at this. See, they just couldn't get the rebound. Look at that. If they would have got that,
back to Payson.
They would at least give him a chance to win or go into overtime.
Yeah. Time out there. Chinle's
there's Chinle number one. Chinle's number one fan in the back. What was funny was they were interviewing one of the players from Phoenix Country Day. Oh, here, hold on. We'll talk about that for this. So it's winding down
right here.
Oh, and just sinks that at the very end. I just felt like something like that was going to happen.
That's crazy. That's got to be the upset of the year, you think, for high school, girls' high school basketball, I guess, this season.
Yeah. Let me see here. So, what'd you think about that, Mac?
Tough loss, man.
Yeah, it's definitely. They had everything, all the tools and everything to win this game. Mm-hmm. They were expected to win. They were winning by a lot, and just all of those mistakes just sort of added up all at one time. And Payson, I'm not saying they're a bad team, but I just felt like in the moment, all of those shots that they normally miss, they were just going in. Mm-hmm. And we've seen them play against Holbrook. We've seen them play against Sabino. I didn't watch that game, but I'm just thinking of just Holbrook specifically. Those same shots that they made against Chinle, they missed all those shots against Holbrook. Mm-hmm. And, Holbrook had Payson on the ropes in the quarterfinals as well. And that's why I thought that Payson was going to lose to Chinle by at least 10.
Yeah.
And for most of the game, it was certainly looking that way that was going to happen. But I guess they just couldn't handle the pressure at the very end. And what did I say when we first started this podcast? Good teams win the games they're supposed to win. And this was one of those games that Chinle was supposed to win. Mm-hmm. And they just came up short. And I guess that's the thing about high school basketball is it's one and done, right?
Yeah. It's anybody's game, man.
Uh-huh. And Payson just came out and they played like they had nothing to lose, and they didn't have anything to lose. So, why not? And they came and they pulled the upset.
Yeah.
They did lose to Snowflake, and I believe Snowflake doesn't have very many seniors, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think they maybe only have like one or two. and I think one of their seniors wasn't a starter.
Hmm.
So I'm going to come out early right now and say I think Snowflake's going to win the East next year for girls basketball because Sholo lost Raquel Wilson. I'm not sure about Blue Ridge, but basically what I'm saying is Snowflake's getting their whole entire team back. So I think Snowflake is going to win the East next year. As far as the North, just kind of off the top of your head, who do you think is going to win the North next year?
Man, that's a tough one, man. I see Tuba. I see Tuba coming up. They have a lot of younger. I know last year they had a really young team against Holbrook in the playoffs, and they came back this year and they actually beat. I think they beat. Did they beat Chile one time? I can't remember. Maybe not. Maybe not. They were close. They had 2 points.
Yeah, they had some close games
Yeah,
against Tuba City.
Yeah, I think Tuba next year. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think Snowflake, and then for the North, it's going to kind of depend. But if Tuba City if they've lost a few seniors, I think Tuba City will be the favorite to win next year. Just off the top of my head, I don't really see Monument Valley. They lost Karen Mann, and then the other players that were underclassmen. Unless they, go through some magical change this year of the summer and get better, I don't really see them maybe doing much better next year. Chinle, they lost a lot of seniors, right?
Yeah, they have quite a bit. Ganado would be another. They could possibly turn things around too.
But they lost the James girl, Faith James, and the other girl. I don't remember her name. The other point guard, or the other guard. I mean, she was also a senior. Their two best players, basically. Winter Rock. They had a really challenging season this year.
Yeah.
And they have the eighth graders girls that are coming up, right? So, regardless, though, I think if I were to project further in the future, I would say that Winter Rock's going to have a really good team in a few years for sure. I think Monument Valley will have a pretty good team a few years from now too.
Yeah, they get the height.
Oh yeah, Altusay with their eighth grade team at Canyon Day. I think they'll have a really good team in a few years as well.
Yep.
So, I guess if we were to try to come or have something positive come out of this, there's a lot of good teams coming up in the next few years. So, I wouldn't take this weekend as sort of like it's the end of 3A North dominance because from what we've seen, there's some really good talented players coming up into the high school real soon. So I guess this is gonna have to be. I guess if we look even at the South, those schools, I guess it's just a rare thing, like Phoenix Country Day. It's rare to have two Division III players on their team like that, especially at that level. Maybe 4A, 5A, 6A, it's definitely maybe more common to have a team with players like that. But at the lower levels like that, it's definitely rare. So plus Phoenix Country Day, they're losing those two players. They're losing their two best players. What about Miami? Their best players, were they seniors this year or juniors?
I can't remember. I don't remember that. But I know San Carlos. I think they'll be decent too. But I know in the coming years, like the younger girls, San Carlos, they're going to be pretty good too.
I know Joseph City. I think only two. Is it two?
Two seniors? Yeah, one of the sisters.
I know the twins are going to be back next year. The Neal twins. They had mentioned that on the broadcast.
Oh, really? I thought one was a senior.
No, I think the twins are juniors, and one of them was a senior.
Oh, okay. And the Jasmine sisters too, right? Like one of them's a senior, I think too.
So I think Josie will be competitive again next year for the 1A. I guess, should we? I guess, well, Holbrook next year, I think Holbrook's going to kind of do about the same they did this year. I think they'll be competitive unless they get a transfer or someone. I'm kind of expecting them to kind of. I think they'll improve. I think who they lose, they lost De Guerrero,
Elena.
Holly, and Elena. So you have those three that are graduating, and then you have the rest of the team. So, I'm not really familiar with like the JV girls that are going to be moving up in next year. So, I guess we'll just have to see. Like I said, I think they'll be competitive, but I do think Snowflake is going to win the East next year for girls.
Yeah, they'll be pretty good.
For boys, I think Snowflake's going to win the East for the boys as well.
Yeah, they're pretty young. It could be anybody's game then too, man. Yeah, Holbrook will be. They're losing like 6 seniors this year, but man, anything could happen this summer, man. Kids could get a lot better or something. You know, that's kind of what I'm hoping. Then, but you know, they'll kind of lack the bigs, but you know it may change, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do a statistical analysis that we can bring out prior to the season starting, which will give you a better idea about what exactly I mean by when I said I think Snowflake boys are going to win the East and so forth. I think once that's put together, I think that'll give everybody an idea of what the season could look like. And you're right too. It's anybody's game, and just because the numbers say this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the case. You know, I see it in professional football all the time. You know, they have, you know, the bookies will set the odds at something for a specific game, and the odds end up being, or what they set for the game was just completely wrong.
Yeah, even like what we predicted in this Chinle game, we thought, you know, everything was just go their way, whatever, but it didn't. So
yeah, I thought Chinle was one of those teams where, a team like Payson had to play really well, plus get lucky to beat them, and it kind of played out that way. Chinle just missed a lot of shots, made a lot of mistakes, got rattled at the end there. Like I said, I don't think they were expecting Payson to put up a fight like that at the very end, and they just got rattled and just couldn't shake it off, and they ended up getting upset.
Yeah, that type of play, that playing type is what I seen today with a lot of the East teams. It seemed like just kind of that kind of messy defense, but somehow it works somehow. Like, you know, that I seen a lot of that today.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll finish off with this. You know, my dad always says there's always a next year, and he's usually saying that about the Arizona Cardinals. So, anyways, everybody, I hope that all of you had a chance to either go down to the state to watch these games, or at least, you know, got to see it on pay-per-view. It was entertaining, regardless of what the outcomes were. And, you know, just congratulations to everybody who made the tournament, who got to at least even experience going to, you know, the semifinals and finals.
Yep.
Even that portion of it is a memory that you'll have for the rest of your life as well. So anyways, hope you're enjoying the content. Please like and subscribe. Please let everybody know that we have this podcast out there. You know, we want to grow this channel so that we can provide more content out there for you. Give us opportunity to interview people that normally don't have a chance or normally don't get interviewed, and hopefully bring a spotlight on other people's efforts around the state. So again, we are the Sports on I-40 podcast, and we thank you for watching.
Good night.